Hi everyone. This presentation explores the relationship between environmental performance and the special experience in architecture. I compare my studio project Enviro Learning Center with Yuan Chang Courtyard Kindergarten by Mad Architects. The goal is to understand how different theoretical approaches influence design, decision, and special outcomes. This comparison is based on two theoretical lenses, ecology and phenomenology. Ecology focuses on climate, energy, environmental performance. It considers how passive and active systems shape spatial form and organization. For example, ecological thinking looks at how sun orientation, shading, and airflow influence building design, while phenomenology, on other hand, focuses on human experience. It looks at movement, perception, and light, and interaction as the key drivers of design. For example, it considers how users move through space and how they feel interact within it. These two approaches provide different ways of understanding architecture, and through performance, and the other through experience. These theoretical directly influence design decisions. Ecological thinking leads to strategies such as shading, orientation, and climate driven form. This means that environmental factors directly shape the building's layout and systems. Phenomenological thinking emphasizes circulation, continuity, and spatial interaction. This focuses on how users experience the building through movement and perception. As a result, different theoretical priorities produce different spatial experiences. Architecture can operate as a system of performance or as a framework of experience. EnviroLearn is a climate-driven learning environment. This project is organized through a lifted learning spine and courtyard system. Climate strategies shape the massing, orientation, and building envelope. The spine organized circulation, shading, and airflow, creating a clear movement system through the building. For example, the lifted spine helps reduce direct solar exposure while allowing airflow through the space. This improves both shading and natural ventilation. The courtyards provide daylight, ventilation, and microclimate zones. They also create shaded outdoor spaces that enhance thermal comfort and support social interaction between students. And these strategies are not added later. They directly shape the form and spatial organization of the projects. Yuan Cheng Courtyard Kindergarten takes a different approach. It uses a continuous courtyard and rooftop system to create fluid circulation. Movement becomes the primary driver of spatial experience, and the continuous loop allows users to move freely through the building without clear boundaries. This creates a more dynamic and interactive movement. The design encourages exploration, interaction, and play. This reflects phenomenological approach where experience and movement shape spatial organization. This slide compares how space is organized. EnviroLearn follows a linear system structured around a central spine. This creates clearly defined program zones and controlled circulation. As a result, movement is predictable and easy to understand, and users can clearly recognize different areas within the building. In contrast, with the Yuan Chang uses a continuous loop-based organization. Spaces follow into one another, creating fluid transition and non-hierarchical movement. Um, and this allows users to move more freely without a fixed path. This difference also affects how users understand the building. In my project, movement is structured and guided, while in precedence, movement is more open and exploratory. And this highlights the contrast between controlled organization and continuous flow. This difference is not only about spatial organization, but about design intention. In EnviroLearn, the design is driven by environmental performance, where climate and systems directly influence the form and layout. And this means decisions are based on organization and shading, airflow, and efficiency. Environmental performance becomes the main driver of design. While the yuan Cheng is driven by human experience, movement, perception, and interaction shape how space is organized. This design focuses on how users feel and move within the building, and also shows how the design is not only about creating form, but about responding to space priorities. And in my project, environmental performance shapes the design decisions, while in precedence, human experience becomes the primary driver. This reflects the difference between ecological and phenomenological approaches to design. So the difference is not just how space looks, but what drives the design. At the user level, these differences become more evident. EnviroLearn creates a directed experience where movement is guided and learning zones are clearly defined. This supports focus, safety, and structured learning, and students can move through the buildings in a clear and predictable way. While Yuan Cheng creates an exploratory experience, students move freely through continuous circulation, encouraging interaction and play. This creates a more dynamic and social learning environments. These differences also influence how students behave in the space. A structured system can support concentration and organized learning activities. And on the other hand, the exploratory system encourages creativity, play, and social interaction between students. While exploratory environment supports discovery and more structured system, provides safety and clarity and focused learning. And at the end, both approaches support learning, but through different spatial strategies. This project demonstrates the performance and experience are not separate ideas. Environmental strategies shape the building's form, organization, and systems. At the same time, movement and spatial organization define how users experience the space. Performance and experience are not separate. They work together to shape both how a building functions and how it's experienced. Together, they create a learning environment that is both efficient and experiential.